What's going on, guys? Welcome to this podcast. It's going to be a week 3 recap here. We're going to go through every game, including the Monday night game that's basically finishing up as we speak. And we're just going to give our thoughts on it, just kind of like, I think, didn't we do one of these last week, or was that just me?
Yeah, week 2 recap.
Yeah, so we're going to do that. And, yeah, let's get started. So, first game, Colts at Titans. You got this one right. I got this one wrong. I thought the Colts would come out in a way where they said, hey, let's stop fucking around, for lack of a better word there, and let's run the football. Let's play the kind of football that at least I perceive as their identity, which is, I mean, behind the run game, play action pass, that kind of, like that. It was the opposite. They got a quarterback with 2 sprained ankles, and Jonathan Taylor ran the ball 10 times for 64 yards, but that was it.
Yeah,
it was
not much after that.
He just, and he had 1 catch for like a few yards, but I just don't understand because I didn't watch the entire game, but I saw a good chunk of it, and I also saw that I was looking at his, usage throughout the game, and it seemed like through every step of the way he was averaging 6 yards a carry. It was like, so I'm assuming he was pretty much averaging 6 yards a carry,
Right?
And yeah, for whatever reason, they just are not staying true to their identity. I mean, look, when you're a team with a quarterback with 2 sprained ankles and you don't have a ton in the way of skill players to catch the football anyways, it just doesn't seem like, to me, you should be abandoning the run game.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he only got 10 carries. It's outrageous.
Yeah, I don't know. But the Titans, man, they're for real in the sense that people keep doubting them. But the thing about the Titans is this. They have an identity. When you have an identity and you know that identity, especially early in the season, and you're committed to it, it is a huge advantage over teams like even the Buffalo Bills to a certain extent. Obviously, they've kind of found their identity this week, but there are good teams like the Chiefs, for example, maybe right now that aren't playing through their identity, and it takes a little while to kind of get there, and oftentimes you don't win games. You know who has an identity right now is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah,
they've got one that they know their formula, and they're sticking with it. Tennessee's doing that. The Colts, unfortunately, are not.
Yeah, Carson Wentz played like shit. Jonathan Taylor should have got 28 carries like Derrick Henry did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Henry wasn't even like super effective, but it was just you had to deal with that.
Right.
And when you have a guy like that, make them deal with that guy consistently.
A.J. Brown went down in that game.
Didn't matter.
Yeah.
That's the Titans for you. I respect them because they are a team with, I always say it, that kind of championship pedigree, that kind of, they're just blue collar, but they're able to compete every single week, basically. Obviously the week 1 got away from them a little bit, but they bounced back, and 2 wins in a row now for Tennessee, the big wins in Seattle, where they came back and won that game in overtime, and now at home against the Colts, what should have been a desperate Colts team. Titans were pretty much in control from start to finish there, so big win.
Big win.
Did you see Julio was like out, and Vrabel basically said he wanted to keep him fresh for if he needed to come in a big moment? It's kind of strange.
Yeah. No, I didn't see that. But why? That is strange. Why was that?
Yeah, he just said he said guys get tight or something like that. I watched the minute-long explanation, and didn't really seem, I don't know, maybe it was just like he didn't feel like he needed them and he didn't want to have them on the field. I don't know, but thought that was interesting. The next game we're going to talk about, Falcons Giants. I'm very disappointed in the Giants, man.
I mean, they're just not good. They're not a good team.
I think that it's fair to make that kind of a statement
Jason
right now.
Garrett he has to go.
That's the big issue, man, in my opinion. And like,
no creativity in his play calling. I mean, it's just absolutely pathetic.
I saw someone tweeted out, they were like,
Saquon Barkley 16 for 51, 3.2 average. I mean,
yeah, it just seems like that's kind of more often than not, that's unfortunately what he's going to look like. But at least he touched the ball over 20 times and scored for you. So in fantasy, you got that much. But to me, somebody tweeted out, they were like, Jason Garrett called, like, I think it was like 2 design runs by the quarterback, and and maybe like one shot play or something like that. And those are the two things Daniel Jones does best. But Daniel Jones is playing pretty well. Like, it's just he's not being put into the best position to succeed consistently, And on top of that, he's still getting used to playing with his guys. Plus, he had Shepard and Slayton leave this game with injury. So that obviously hurts. But yeah, I mean, I'm just bummed out. The defense played much better this week. Only allowing 17 points to the Falcons is in my opinion, a big win for that side of the ball. But as well as Daniel Jones played or whatever, 14 points just isn't going to cut it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if you told me they could only score 20 points and they would win the game with that against Atlanta, I would have been surprised. That was a game with the Giants there. I thought this was going to be high scoring, a great game for fantasy. I just was not anything like what we were expecting.
Yeah, no, that was a pretty pitiful display of football.
Yeah,
on both ends of the field, to be honest. Falcons didn't play much better.
I wonder how people that drafted Calvin Ridley at the back end of the first round are feeling. He's somebody that's not been, at least maybe I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I got him in one.
Okay.
I mean, he still had 8 for 61, so.
Right, but that's 8 yards you're thinking about that from PPR standpoint, but that's 8 yards a catch basically, right? Like, or a little under. He's the 77th overall guy right now in PPR scoring format. So, but he's been decent though in terms of, again, in PPR. He's just targeted 11 times, 8 for 61, like you said. The week before that, he was targeted 10 times, caught 7 for 63. This, I want you to notice, when have we ever seen Calvin Ridley with this low of yards per reception output? And it's been like that basically in all 3 games. The 5 for 51 in week 1 was his best in terms of yards per reception. That is the life of a wide receiver 1. It is no more, is Julio playing, is Julio not playing? You're not going to game plan the same way. Now, everyone and their mother knows Ridley every week is the top guy in Atlanta. And because of that, he's faced with a more difficult challenge. I mean, we saw this with Juju Smith-Schuster a couple years ago when AB left. And nobody seems to give a shit. But that's why I value efficiency, and I don't knock when there are other playmakers on an offense, because I think that's ultimately and usually a good thing, for especially for receivers, So
yeah,
but yeah, I mean, that's a crummy game for the Giants. And what I will say for the Giants fans that I know are completely at the end of their wits with this team is you have to keep in context. And I'm not a Giants fan, believe it or not, but you have to keep in context. They are in a division where, maybe they're not as far out as people might think. Also, it's early in the season, right? They have new pieces on offense. The defense started to play better in week 3. So I just think that to me, it feels like if there's one 0-3 team that is not out of it, it's the Giants. I know that might seem hard for Giants fans.
Yeah, I feel like you're maybe giving them even more, a little bit more credit.
I just feel like they have a ton of talent there. Did you see Old Takes exposed me today?
Mm-mm.
They did I made this tweet, or I tweeted this something like 2 years ago about how I think Dave Gettleman's a top 5 GM.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got me. They retweeted it. I had some fun with it though. I was like, I'm honored. I quote tweeted them and I was like, I'm honored to finally make my first appearance on Old Takes Exposed or Freezing Cold Takes, whatever it's called. But so people have been just all over my mentions today. Like,
yeah, I don't
this
know.
didn't age well.
He's drafted pretty poorly.
That's not true. He's drafted really well.
I mean,
it's just
questionable.
There are talented guys all over that roster. They are high character, very talented players. And I'm being objective when that is just a fact. Like, yeah, he should have taken, Tristan Wirfs over Andrew Thomas. We can look at that in hindsight, and that sucks. But overall, they have a ton of talent. Like that, if you look at just every position group, it's much better off now than it was when he got there, and they have turned it into a bunch of draft picks.
Yeah.
That I hate to do this because I'm not the type to want to just point at one guy and say it's your fault. But, man, I'm close to doing that with Jason Garrett. It's like we said, no creativity.
It is all his fault, it seems like.
Yeah.
Literally. I mean, he's running the same plays that Dallas has run in the last few years, and, I mean, look how we looked. I mean, the only reason why we played as well as we did because of Dak and the way he can make plays. But as far as the play calling, I mean, horrendous.
Yeah. Very vanilla.
Very
predictable. Not putting guys in the best position to succeed.
Yeah.
Just it's been
a shame.
It's been
almost.
Really a shame. I think, and I said this on the podcast earlier today, the solo one that I did, I think that Jason Garrett, one of two things is going to happen. Either Jason Garrett is going to get better and really pull out, kind of.
We thought that every year he was in Dallas.
Or, I mean, I'm just saying, he's not going to have to be the coach anymore. It's just this is his only job. So either he's going to get better or he's going to get fired, and they're going to promote someone from within, maybe some young dude that wants to show his creativity.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll work out for him. Who knows? I don't know their coaching staff or whatever, but I do know they need more creativity on offense.
100%.
They need to build it suited to their strengths, and it's just not happening so far.
Yeah.
But good win for Atlanta. Arthur Smith, getting his first win as a head coach on the road after a couple of tough losses in a row. They go in there, they beat a Giants team that, I mean, let's be real. There was a whole lot more optimism behind the Giants before the season started than there were for the Falcons, and so good on them to go in there and get a win. The defense played pretty well.
Good win on the road.
Yeah. Okay, Chargers Chiefs. You nailed this one. I said I was going to be rooting for the Chargers.
Yeah, man.
Hey, by the way, breaking news. I won. Oh no, fuck. There's 2 minutes left, so I'm fading. I needed Amari Cooper, by the way, in hit our league.
Well, we're not even watching the game, so who's to say they even have the starters in the game at this point? It's 2 minutes to go.
And it's 41-21. Yeah. But I needed Amari. I was up by like 10 points. I needed Amari Cooper to not score more than 10, and he's being the Amari Cooper that I know and love so much. He has 5.6 points right now in PPR scoring. So
I needed Zeke to not have 35, and
and this is a big win for me if I can pull it off because, I
this isn't chalk your bets.
Yeah, this isn't chalk your bets. Yeah. So,
well, so as it stands, you'll be in 6th place if you win.
6th.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have that many points.
Yeah. Fish will be 3-0.
Well, it's huge because it brings Eric from going 3-0 down to 2-1.
Yeah, and it helps everyone that lost too.
Yeah. So, anyways,
there's only one undefeated team left. So
yeah. Okay. Chargers.
Chiefs.
So good on you picking the Chargers to win that game. I wanted to.
I knew they were going to come in ready to fight.
I knew they were going to come. Oh wait, one last thing on that Falcons team, right? Kyle Pitts, you guys drafted him in the 3rd, 4th round, whatever. Maybe you got lucky and got him in the 5th. Well, yesterday, 3 targets, 2 catches, 35 yards. I mean, he's the 174th rated player. In that spot,
they need to pepper him.
In the 4th round, you could have drafted Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods, who I know is not really doing his thing yet, but you could have drafted a bunch of dudes there.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm worried about Robert Woods.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Anyways, Chargers get the win in Kansas City. Fucking Justin Herbert. The main difference this year than what he was doing last year. Last year, he was filling up the stat sheet, right? Mm-hmm. This year, he's also filling up the stat sheets in many ways, but he's playing winning football consistently. I mean, the guy threw a touchdown on the road in Kansas City with like 30 seconds left to beat the Chiefs. Yeah. You know what I mean? That he was in a similar position in his very first start last year, like in that game in LA, and he couldn't go down there and win the game when it mattered. This year, he goes and puts that thing in the end zone. The Herbert to Keenan Allen / Mike Williams / Austin Eckler trio there is really coming into his own. He's going crazy, man.
What a steal.
Dude, there are so many examples this year. He's the 11th rated player total overall.
Yeah.
There are so many examples this year of why coaching in the sport of football is so important. You got Matthew Stafford over there looking like a potential MVP candidate after a couple weeks. You got Mike Williams here, a guy that basically we all wrote off as a bust, like a dude that was taken, 8th, 9th overall or whatever in the draft a few years ago. And now, all of a sudden, we've got a guy that he might actually get a huge second contract because of how well he's playing this year. I mean, he's going completely insane. Like, he's
insane. I mean, he averaged 17.4 yards a pass on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's caught in week 1 8 for 82 and a touchdown. Okay, week 2 7 for 91 and the touchdown. When yesterday, week 3 7 for 122 and 2 touchdowns, and he caught a 2-point conversion. Mm-hmm. So he is the 11th rated fantasy player right now overall.
7 receptions, 9 targets.
Yeah, and he's just been. I mean, look, when you have, and this is my thing again, when you have a guy like Keenan Allen there that's going to get the bulk of the attention, going to be treated as the number 1 receiver, you got a guy like Mike Williams can now go and abuse, whoever it might be, second or third corners or whatever on opposing defenses, and that's what they're doing, and it's working perfectly. So now Herbert has a pretty good offensive line. I mean, they're a little bit banged up there, so they're protecting him a little bit. The only thing I want to see with the Chargers, and I want to see them improve in some way, is running the ball with the running backs. I think they need a little more of that because,
I mean, Eckler only had 11 carries. Justin Jackson had 2. Roundtree had 4.
Roundtree ain't it, man. Roundtree ain't it.
Yeah. I mean, he had 4 for 3. Mm-hmm. Justin didn't do much better, but.
Yeah, but he had just 2 carries, like you said. But I just think that that's the one area offensively where they aren't as strong as they need to be, moving forward. And I think that, ultimately they'll probably get there when the weather gets cold. And I think their offensive line.
You would hope so.
Their offensive line is a bunch of new pieces together too. So maybe oftentimes, especially with the run game in some situations, it takes a little bit of time to kind of get rolling there.
Yeah.
Up front. So it could be that. But
Clyde Edwards-Helaire kind of showed up a little bit, especially in fantasy purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, he had another fumble.
Yeah. I was pumped.
Tyreek Hill was
I was happy quiet to see that he did fumble and they just went right back to him. That's big because some coaches there would have just said, sit your ass on the bench. Mm-hmm. Bruce Arians, that's what he would have done, right? So, again, coaching really matters because Clyde came in, scored a touchdown after that play, and just really looked more explosive and more decisive than I've seen him look all season long. And so that was huge, man. Yeah, he played well, 17 carries, 100 yards, and he had like a 1 reception, which was a touchdown. So,
again, they need to get more work with him out of the backfield. I
mean, he had 18 touches, though. So
no, I mean, like, as a receiver.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. But big win for the Chargers. I think that's a statement win. That's one that, remember, before on the podcast, the preview podcast, I said, the Chiefs, if they lose this game in Kansas City, we will look at them now and say, hey, they were outplayed most of week 1 by the Browns. They end up squeaking that game out towards the end, right? They were outplayed in Baltimore. They lost that game on the road. Mm-hmm. Now they come in at home against LA, and they're outplayed. I mean, really and truly, pretty much from start to finish, they were outplayed. They made plays that put them in position to.
Yeah, they made Mahomes look very uncomfortable.
Right, they did, yeah. And that defense was very opportunistic, and that's kind of what they're designed to be. So
yeah, that was a bold pick, and they came out and fucking did it.
Yeah, I liked that they had Mike Davis, I think his name is, the corner. He's like a 6'2", 200-plus pound corner. They had him in a lot of situations covering Travis Kelce. Not that he shut Kelce down by any means, right. But what that does is, and Tony Romo mentioned this on the broadcast, when you are able to just put one guy on Kelce, that takes a lot of the pressure off of what Tyreek Hill's going to do against you, So it benefits you in a big way. So I thought that was an important piece of that game plan.
That was a great win for the Chargers. Huge win.
Huge win.
Sends the Chiefs to 1-2.
Yeah, the Chiefs, and I bet you that's probably the first time that Mahomes has had a losing record,
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he was under pressure all game.
Yep.
27 for 44, picks. Yeah. 260, 5.9 average. I mean,
yeah. Wow. That's good defense by the Chargers.
Yes.
So who do the Chiefs play in the coming weeks? They go at Philadelphia. That's going to get ugly for Philly, I presume.
Yeah. I mean, seeing what the Cowboys did to them tonight, it's not going to be a good look.
Yeah. And then they play Buffalo and Kansas City, which on Sunday night games, so that should be a ton of fun. And then they go, get this, at Washington. And I know Washington's defense isn't playing at an elite level right now. They got blown out by the Bills or whatever. But that's a defense that at any point could turn it on and be top 3, top 5 in the NFL. And then they go at Tennessee. So that's a stretch, right? You got Buffalo, you got at Tennessee, and then that Washington team is a team that you can't really rule them out, right, at any point. So the Chiefs have their work cut out for them, and I think they'll be all right, though. I just have a feeling they'll be fine.
I think they're going to be fine as well. I just know that the Chargers they're here. They're
a legit team.
Yeah, they are.
Bengals at Steelers. So the Bengals go into Pittsburgh, beat up on Big Ben.
Last time we talked about it, I said,
did you pick them?
I think it had been, no, I ended up picking the Steelers, but I said it had been at least 4 or 5 years since the Bengals got a win in Pittsburgh, and it was 2015.
Wow. So you nailed that.
Yeah. 2015 was their last win in Pittsburgh, and man, they came out and played a good game. Burrow looked even more confident than he has in the last 2 games.
They played. As
Jamar
I mentioned
Chase
before,
is.
they had a formula. They have a formula. They are staying true to what that formula is and what they know can succeed. You know, Joe Mixon was involved, right? He had 19 touches. He had 18 carries, 90 yards, and then a 4-yard reception. So that's good work for him. And then Burrow was very efficient. I mean, what was he, like 14 of 18? And then defensively, they do not let people run the ball on them. So Pittsburgh hasn't been able to run the ball anyways, but they eliminated that. Then you've got Ben Roethlisberger, and I have a ton of respect for Ben Roethlisberger, so I'm not going to sit here and bash him the way a lot of people are, but he's 39 years old.
He looks
doesn't
slow.
have the arm that he used to have, that he's always had, right?
Yeah.
And he threw the ball 58 times. The guy averaged 5.5 yards per attempt and was sacked 4 times. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger.
58 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, Najee Harris was targeted 14 times.
And I brought that up last time with Deontay Johnson out. I said, does Najee Harris get more work out of the backfield as a receiver? Because they needed to, and damn.
Apparently so.
Yeah, he had 14 receptions.
Yeah.
For 102 yards.
No. He was targeted 14 times.
No, he had 14 receptions.
What? I thought it was just targeted.
He had 19 targets.
Oh, my God. Was he targeted 19 times?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. So
I still lost in fantasy, shockingly, but
wow.
Well, I played against Cooper Kupp and Devante Adams.
Oof.
Yeah. Tough.
But then again, man, as a runner, for only 14 carries,
2.9 average
in a game that they were not blown out in. Like they were, it was a couple score game order, but they weren't. I still think that in this game tonight, the Eagles should have run the football more. Like I think when you're down 20, with 15 minutes to go in the third quarter, start of the third quarter, you can still run the football. Like you absolutely, and you have.
Yeah, but they got in panic mode. I mean,
you can't get in panic. That's just. But yeah, I mean, like you said, only 2.9 yards an attempt. I get that, but ultimately, man, you're gonna draft a running back like Najee Harris in the first round. I don't think it's
second
because.
round. Oh,
no,
talking about the real draft.
Yeah. It's and I don't knock that pick by you, but what I'm saying is if you're gonna draft him in the first round, right, you gotta put him in. Yes, he can catch the football, and that's great that you feel like targeting him 19 times, but let's run the guy. Let's really. What do you think?
No other running back got a carry besides.
Yeah, and that's
the only carry is Big Ben.
Remember, we saw last week he was playing like 98% of the snaps or something crazy. So they are all in on him as being the guy, and I'm totally with that. I just think that you got to feed him, man. Like, what would the Titans do? The Titans are giving Derrick Henry the ball. It does not matter if he's only averaging 2 or 3 yards a carry. They're gonna keep making you deal with that, right? And then off of that hard play action, because if he's averaging 2 yards a carry, right, on his first 16, 17, 18 carries, and then he breaks one for 8 or 9 yards. Now that hard play action is just so much more. Ben Roethlisberger needs that. He needs a play action game to lean on. You cannot have this guy dropping back at this stage in his career 62 times because he was sacked 4 times. So he dropped back the pass 62 times in a game that was not completely out of it in terms of like,
yeah, that's wild.
They weren't. So, yeah, but Joe Burrow, a touchdown every 6 throws, and he did throw an interception, but overall he was very efficient, and he's doing what he's playing winning football as well. I said that about Herbert.
Mixon had a very efficient game, 18 for 90.
Yeah, he was solid.
Mm-hmm.
So big win for Cincinnati. This one kind of feels.
Jamar Chase, man, he's something else.
Oh yeah, he had another long touchdown.
Yeah,
and so I think we're seeing he may not be a 10 target per game kind of guy, but what he is a guy that is very, very capable of making that one big play that really makes his fantasy value, skyrocket.
I just traded for him on Sunday, and I'm excited to play him.
I would still have him as a sell high in my
no,
opinion.
because I just feel like he's only going to get better, and
that let me just say this. So I'm looking his numbers up right now. So Jamar Chase,
he's a freak.
Think about this. He has 11 catches, right? And he has 4 touchdowns. That's 1 every 3 receptions. Do you think it's fair to expect that moving forward?
No, of course not.
Okay.
But I mean, if he gets his targets, there's always a chance. He's a dynamic receiver.
He's not getting targets. 7, 4, and 5. That's what.
On the long ball, he
5
is.
without.
If he keeps catching them, I don't give a damn what he does.
Yeah, I'm just saying. What did you give up for him? Is the question.
Not much.
What was it? He's like Jonathan Taylor.
Chenault.
Chenault?
Yeah,
Oh.
and James White.
Oh, you're fine. That's
Yeah.
still buying low, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I'm sorry, Manny. I was tough.
Yeah.
James White ended up
Oh,
going
yeah,
down,
and then he goes down with the
getting
hip.
carted off.
I like James White. I hope he's
Also,
okay.
it's final, fortunately.
Yeah,
But,
right. But yeah, I think the Cincinnati defense is something that is very impressive to me. And now the offense is the one word that it hasn't been since Zach Taylor got there, efficient. They are an efficient offense. Like, they're running the ball. Joe Mixon's not averaging 2 yards a carry. Like, he's running for 5 yards a carry. And they're giving him the ball 20 times a game.
Yep.
And they're not asking Burrow to do the impossible. They are taking shots off of that run. You see, it's a beautiful thing when you have a run game. You can take those deep shots off of that run game.
Right.
And they know because of the threat of Mixon, they're getting single coverage on the outside for guys like Jamar Chase to catch 50-yard touchdowns. And it's working, and anytime you, like, the way that when T. Higgins comes back, you're not going to be able to really, you're going to have to play them straight up in terms of, like, their receivers, because any of those 3 guys they have can get open in one-on-one situations. So it's a nice formula what they have there. I hope the defense keeps playing how they are. My guy Logan Wilson, who I loved coming out of the draft of, I think he was at Wyoming or something, linebacker, had 2 picks on Ben in that game. So it was a complete
14
team
tackles.
Win. Oh wow, yeah. See, he's a stud. I had a 2nd-round grade on him, and people thought I was too high on him. He's starting to look good, and Cincinnati overall is playing complementary football. They're efficient on offense, playing good defense.
Yeah, they look
love
good.
what they're doing.
They look good.
I'm happy for Bengal fans, man. All right, Bears at Browns. So my
What
guy
a
Fields,
tough outing.
Yeah, that was rough.
Tough game.
And I know a lot of people are of the belief that if Matt Nagy wasn't there, then Fields would just be awesome. But guys, like, we got to be realistic, okay? He was 6 of 20, 30% completion percentage. He was sacked 9 times.
He had a 6 QB rating.
Yeah.
A 6.
He averaged 3.4 yards per pass attempt. He was sacked 1 every 2 pass attempts.
Speaking of sacks,
basically.
Myles Garrett.
He had 4.5. Jesus.
My goodness.
And you guys know, if you've been following me for a while, I have never said one good thing about Matt Nagy in terms of an offensive guru or whatever the rep. Even when he won Coach of the Year, it was all because of the defense. It was not. I thought Anthony Lynn should have won Coach of the Year that year, by the way, but it was all defense. Like, they were averaging like 18 points a game on the offense. I don't know if the real numbers, but they were not scoring a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, I don't know. I mean, they looked all out of sorts.
yeah. I mean,
Just horrible. I mean, he's just as bad as Jason Garrett.
yeah, he might be worse because he tries to be creative at times, but it's just awful.
Yeah.
Most of the time, like the way
it's embarrassing.
But the thing and the reason
I
why
just feel like they didn't put Justin Fields in a good situation.
Definitely did not
to succeed.
Definitely did not. I mean, let the kid run. He ran 3 times.
Yeah.
Did you even design any of those runs? Like, I don't know.
I knew David Montgomery was gonna have a bad game. William actually texted me about 15 minutes before kickoff and said Madison or Montgomery. And I told him Madison.
Wow.
Yeah. And guess what?
That worked out.
Well, he didn't play him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I said,
Well,
bro.
why is he going to ask and then not play?
I know, right? I would say his answer, but
yeah.
It's not safe for work.
Okay. So the thing about Fields, and the reason why I said I'm not willing to even though I'm with you guys on Matt Nagy being trash, he was routinely late on throws. He was holding the ball too long, and I understand he was under a ton of pressure quickly and all that stuff. But there were several reps. I watched almost all of that game, almost every snap. There were several reps where he just held it, and it was just like, bro, you got to get rid of the football.
Got it.
And he's not doing it yet. He will. He'll be okay.
I hope so.
But I think that, we all
I think he's a great talent.
Oh, absolutely. We all bashed Chris Sims when he said that Fields had I think he said he had issues like going through his progressions and things like that. Well, I mean, that so far after one start, right, we're not going to, speak in any type of like, permanent type of manner about this. But so far, that showed up in one game, right? So I think Fields, like I said, I think he'll be okay. I don't want to see Matt Nagy do what Matt Nagy's probably going to do, because now what he's saying is we might start any one of the 3. It might be Foles next week, it might be Dalton, and it might be Fields. To me, that is right in line. For him to start Foles would be right in line with what he's always done since he got there, and that's point his finger at, if you just get me, like it was Trubisky sucked, right? Then it was, you just get me somebody as good as Foles, and we're good with my offensive expertise. If Foles comes, and they're crap again. And then Trubisky comes back in and plays better than Foles. Now it's, you just get me Andy Dalton, and we're golden. Andy Dalton didn't look so hot in week 1. Now Fields, who I think we can all agree we never thought would even be available, where they traded up to get him, he comes in and looks absolutely awful too. Maybe the primary source of the problem in Chicago in terms of offensively is Matt Nagy. Like I've been saying this for a long time, years, as a matter of fact. And people, it's just a lot of times when you have a young, energetic coach, which he's a relatively young guy, he speaks well, he's got nice, kind of like Pete Carroll type energy to him, Sean McVay-esque type of energy. You just assume, and he's creative, like you see different types of formations, defensive players out there on the field. You assume like, he knows what he's doing. But the fact of the matter is, it took him 2.5 years to give David Montgomery the ball.
Right.
Like it was, there's a lot of things I could point to and say, what the hell is wrong with this guy? And I think that we saw some more of those things on Sunday, unfortunately, for Bears fans. But I hope, as I was saying, start Fields again, or go back to Dalton. But if you put Foles in, now I think you're going to lose the locker room. Because
there's no way they can put Foles
in week 4, you're going to go to your 3rd quarterback. That's wild.
Yeah. No, absolutely not.
Yeah. But on the flip side, for the Cleveland Browns, they are, in my opinion, a Super Bowl contending team. And I'm not overreacting because they beat the Bears. I probably would have said they were a Super Bowl contending team before this game. I think that with what they can do offensively, it is balanced to the core, right? You've got Kareem Hunt, who's a guy that is really, really good, right? You're getting, I mean, that's one of the best value contracts in the NFL.
He had a hell of a game.
He is a great receiving back. He's just at everything, he's really good, right?
Averaged
Everything.
8.1 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Had 6 catches for 74 yards.
Yep. And they still managed to give Chubb 22 carries.
Yes.
So
they're a well-balanced attack.
They know what they're doing.
Odell looked healthy.
Yes, he did. He looked good.
Yeah, he did.
Baker Mayfield looks like he's getting rid of the ball very quickly. He's making quick decisions.
He didn't blow up the stat sheet, but I mean, he played a good game.
He played very well. And it's not even like game manager very well. It's very high level.
No turnovers.
Play. Everything he's asked to do, he's doing it. And yeah, man, Baker at this point in his career, he can do anything that you need him to do. Mm-hmm. But their identity, and they are a team that absolutely has an identity, is to play efficient offensive football and make you defend every blade of grass, make you defend everybody. Even my guy, Demetric Felton, who they drafted in the 7th round, who was technically their 3rd-string running back, he was targeted several times in this game. They got him involved. Right now, Baker's completing 74%, just under 74% of his passes this season, right? He's been incredibly efficient. And let me see. He's also averaging 9.8 yards per pass attempt. So, I mean, when you aren't throwing incompletions and you're averaging 10 yards a throw, that's pretty good offensive football from your quarterback. Combine that with an elite running game. Combine that now with Odell Beckham coming back. Combine that with a defense that can do what? Rush the fucking passer, which is a gigantic.
Myles Garrett had 7 tackles. 4.5 of them were sacks.
Yeah. So the formula in Cleveland right now is one that can go anywhere in terms of like it can play on the road, it can succeed anywhere, and it's a playoff formula. It's one that's playoff ready. They know their identity early in the season. They've got very good quarterback play. They have legit pass rush. They've got some good young players in the secondary, and then offensively there's no weakness at all. So I think that they
look good.
They're a legit Super Bowl contending team.
2-0 at home.
Yes, sir. All right. Ravens Lions. This was, dude. What are those things called? Survivor pool, suicide pool. What are you pick a team each week and you can only pick them once or whatever for the whole season.
Oh yeah.
I'm doing one of those this year. Actually, my first time ever, and I picked the Ravens. So I look up at the score late in the game and I'm like, no. And I see it's 4th down and 19 and they're losing and Lamar Jackson makes an unbelievable throw from the pocket. Mm-hmm. As a passer. Yeah. To Sammy Watkins, gets him into, I guess, field goal range because
my boy Justin Tucker, man.
Bangs through a 66-yard field goal. Damn, keeps me alive awesome. In that survivor pool.
He is such a stud.
Absolute stud.
I mean, the best kicker in the NFL history.
No, I'm not. We can't forget about Adam Vinatieri, but.
No, he's better. He's the best and most efficient kicker in NFL history.
Okay, but.
And he's clearly the best.
Super Bowl's on the line. Who you get? Prime Vinatieri, Prime Tucker.
Justin Tucker.
You're gonna say, Adam, we don't need you. We got Tucker.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, you might be right, but
the body of work. The body of work.
All right, we're not gonna sit here and argue about kickers.
I know.
The body of work though of Vinatieri has been incredible.
Look at the body of work of Justin Tucker has been. He did this in college.
But Vinatieri's got 3 of Justin Tucker's careers.
He was doing this in his sleep.
He's the Tom Brady of kickers.
Yes, he's the fucking
goat.
I'm
talking about Vinatieri.
Oh,
he's got 3 Hall of Fame careers in one. He's 62 and he just retired.
I know, but anyways, Justin Tucker, GOAT.
Yeah. So anyways, the Ravens.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, DeAndre Swift was an absolute monster. The Ravens. Did you see all those drops by Hollywood Brown? Oh my God.
Yeah.
He dropped 3 or 4 that were in his breadbasket. Would have been big plays.
Yeah, he's got to catch those.
Game, he's got to catch those because Lamar Jackson would have had an unbelievable passing stat line if he would have just done what he was supposed to do and caught those balls.
Yep.
I still think Hollywood is a solid young player. Don't think they should have been a first-round pick. Mm-hmm. But it is what it is. Lamar Jackson, though, once again in a classic potential letdown spot, right after you beat the Chiefs the way you did, does not allow the letdown to happen. Comes out there and faces adversity on the road against a team that just will not quit in the Detroit Lions. And they didn't quit, and they made a ton of plays late in that game to get their team in a position to take the lead. They did that. Mm-hmm. Then they forced a 4th and 19. Lamar Jackson just said, that's one of those situations where he just said, I am not losing.
Yeah.
He understands how important that game it was to them. Like,
that's what Justin Tucker said when he walked up to the ball. I am not losing. I'm not missing this kick.
I agree. You've got a division there with the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland's 2-1. You're all 2-1 right now. Baltimore, Cleveland, and Cincinnati, all 2-1. And then the Steelers are the worst team in that division, and you never know. They may still be in the thick of that race because if Ben can just be competent, they can run the ball a little bit. They're all. That's a tough division. So losing that game would have been gigantic for Baltimore. Winning
especially against the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, a game that you absolutely have to. Those are the games, and I praise Baltimore like crazy. I said they are the team that does not fall for trap games. They don't do it.
Yeah,
and they looked like they were proving me right up until the Lions just would not quit, and the Lions took the late lead. Justin Tucker comes in there, saves the day, but only after Lamar Jackson makes an unbelievable 4th and 19 play. So
unbelievable.
If you're a Lions fan, I think that you should feel very good about your team. They do not quit. Jared Goff is playing good football. I mean, he just is. He doesn't have much to work with in terms of like skill players, right? And he's still completing like 70% of his passes. He's making pretty good decisions. He's throwing the ball accurately. I think that they are in a position where they just need a little bit of time to keep adding talent, because just looking at their talent, they don't have much in terms of
nothing really screams off the sheet.
They've got
it's T.J. Hawkinson, but even he had a pretty rough game.
Yeah, so if I'm a Lions fan right now, I'm feeling pretty damn optimistic because you should have beat and came back to beat a very good Baltimore team. So that's just how I know you're 0-3, but you never thought you were winning the Super Bowl this year anyways.
Right.
So just stay the course. I think that you should win. I bet you this team wins at least 2 games in they go at least 2-2 in their last 4 games. That's just I think they're going to be that kind of team where you have some optimism moving forward. I think they're going to have at least 1 or 2 wins this year where they beat a team that you never thought they were going to beat, just like they almost did with Baltimore here. So I'm happy if I'm a Lions fan. If I'm a Ravens fan, I'm very happy because you have that championship pedigree. You have that just like we are always in it because we've got Lamar Jackson. Doesn't matter if we lose our entire front 7 or front 4, whatever, from the COVID list. We are going to find a way to get pressure. We're going to find a way to play good defense, and they did so. And, by the way, you're right. DeAndre Swift, absolute stud. I'm so happy I took him in the 3rd round of almost every draft. So,
yeah, he went off. Yeah. He had a good game fantasy-wise, for sure.
Yeah, he was great. Okay, what do we got next here? Saints at Patriots. Did not expect this.
Did not at all, man.
Did not expect.
I expected the Patriots to come out and get the dub.
Me too. I think we both picked the Patriots to win. I thought they'd win like a low-scoring game. I think I said like 20-17, something that.
James White getting hurt didn't help them, but, I mean, they just looked all out of sorts.
Mac Jones throwing the ball 51 times didn't help them either. No. Look, when he threw the ball 39 and 30 times in the first 2
Harris
games.
had 6 carries.
Yeah. You never really see Belichick do something like that, which, just to basically get out of what he allowed them to take him away from what he wanted to do. And I know he did not want Mac Jones throwing the ball 51 times, right? And throwing 3 picks. He was sacked twice, completed 55% of his passes, and averaged just 5.3 yards per pass attempt. So, in the previous 2 games, Mac completed 73 and 74% of his passes.
Yeah,
he was averaging right around 7 yards an attempt and all that stuff. So he was. It's not what they wanted. Not what the doctor ordered at all. But for the for the Saints, I'm very. Dude, that's the kind of game there where when that happens, they are 100% going to be in this division race until the very end.
Yeah.
Like they're going to be tough to beat. Jameis Winston. Dude, Jameis has 7 touchdown passes now, even though he didn't throw one against the Panthers last week. Only 128 yards passing. Jameis has not cracked 200 yards. He hasn't even cracked 150 yards passing in any game.
That's incredible.
This is a new Jameis Winston. This is a guy that can be a game manager for you,
Wow.
That's crazy.
That is.
He's only thrown 2 interceptions in, what is that? Let's see. He's thrown 60. He's only attempted 63 passes. Wow. So wonder
You got Mac Jones over here throwing it 51 times in one game.
Yeah, that's insane. So, yeah, man, I think that another thing I noticed in this game was that Alvin Kamara ran the ball again over 20 times, 24 carries in this game, 3.7 yards per reception. Per carry, only 3 catches, but he did have a touchdown. We're seeing a bit of a different usage for him now. I mentioned this many times with posts. Kamara is not a guy they give 20 carries to. It's only happened like 3 other times in his career entering this season. Well, he's done it twice now in 3 games, and of course, the week before they were in a position where he really couldn't against the Panthers.
Right, but I feel like they're just giving him more opportunity because then 1, they don't have Drew Brees anymore, and 2, it seems as if he's one of their better players right now.
Oh, of course, he's an elite player, but they also don't have Latavius Murray.
Right, but they also don't have hardly any receivers. Michael Thomas out.
Right, they basically. Yeah, their hand is kind of forced in that regard, I guess. They don't want to overwhelm the rookie.
Marquez Callaway is their best receiver.
Who bounced back this week, by the way.
Yeah, he
had
did.
A nice game.
He did. So 4 for 41, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, who do the Patriots – let me see who the Patriots play next week. They play – oh, that's right. They play Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Mm-hmm. That's not good news because right now the Patriots are 1-2. With the Bucs coming to town, they could very easily be 1-3 this time next week, and I almost expect that to happen because Tom Brady ain't going to go in there and lose.
No,
but I'll tell you what, I'm not going to underestimate Belichick either because neither one of those guys is going to want to lose.
It's going to be a cool night because Brady's going to beat Brees' record, most yards all time, against his old team. Like you couldn't write it up any better.
Scripts this shit perfectly.
I know.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be fun, but when you're just from the Patriots side of it, that is you don't want to start 1-3 because guess what? Let's see.
They're going to.
They are going to most likely. But you know what? They have at least they play the Texans the following week, right? So they can get back to 2-3, and then they play Dallas in New England. So that one, Dallas to me
they look good,
dangerous, very dangerous. All right. Moving along here, let's go to the Arizona Cardinals against the Jacksonville Jaguars in Jacksonville. So Trevor Lawrence threw one of the worst interceptions of the week again. It was off of a flea flicker, and dude, did you see it? He just basically just was like floating off his back foot and tossed one back across his body. It was terrible.
It was not a good play.
Yeah.
It was a poor decision.
I feel like I'm just constantly bashing Trevor Lawrence, so I'm not trying to do that, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like he
just doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good at all.
I mean, give him some time, obviously, but right now it's just looking rough. I mean, they tried to get James Robinson involved a little bit more.
James had a good game. Oh, wow. And Trevor lost 2 fumbles, so he had another 4 turnovers in this game. Jeez Louise, brother. You gotta take care of the football, man.
Yeah.
You got to. At least he finally had a game where he completed over 60% of his passes. So take that for what you will. But once
they
again,
had 4 total fumbles that game, 2 lost, both by him.
Yep. But on the bright side, he ran the ball 6 times for 27 yards, so right at almost 5 yards a carry. Trying to find some positives here.
I know, right?
But yeah, man, it's been rough, and it's not going to get any easier because they go to Cincinnati next week to play the Bengals. The Bengals have a pretty good defense. I don't know if you saw them play the Steelers. We just talked about that. They dominated.
Yeah, they have a great
defense. So, and guess what? Trevor Lawrence's games after that against Tennessee,
tough matchup,
and then against Miami. So that Miami defense we don't need to underestimate them either. They match up really well against the Jaguars, by the way. So it doesn't get any easier for the kid. He's going to have to get it together and play well. I am not, just like I'm not with Justin Fields. Are there things that Matt Nagy could do better? Sure. Are there things that Urban Meyer could do better? Sure. But I think Trevor's in a much better situation than Fields, first of all. And I also think he's in a better situation, maybe even than Zach Wilson. That's close. But I think that he just has to play better. And, oh, my God. So let me just tell you real quick his let me just read his schedule. So again, at Cincy, Tennessee, Miami, 3 pretty tough matchups. Then he has the bye week. Thank God he'll need a bye week after that. Then he goes at Seattle. That's not an easy matchup. Then he plays the Bills. Then he goes at the Colts. Then he plays San Francisco.
Yeah, it's not going to get any easier.
And he still has, later in the season, he has games against at the Rams, at the Titans, at the Patriots, and then the Colts again. It's
not looking good.
He's got to start playing better, because if he doesn't, it could be a Josh Rosen-esque rookie season. It really could be. And I think a big part of him playing better is going to be run him. Like, run him early. He should be running 10 times a game, because he's a kid. He can get down and avoid trouble, avoid the big hit, and make sure he understands that. But I just think that watching him throw that interception, the one off the flea flicker, it was just so bad. Like, you think you can just loft a ball on the opposite hash off your back foot? Like, what are you doing? That's crazy. Anyways,
I mean, on the other side of the ball, Kyler Murray had, he had a slow, down game. I wouldn't call it a down game. He had 316 yards passing, but he just wasn't as electric. I mean, he had 0 touchdowns.
But he had rushing touchdowns, didn't he?
He had 1, yeah.
Okay. He's completing, for the season, almost 77% of his passes. You heard that right. He's completing almost 77% of his passes. And guess what? He's really averaging 10 yards per pass attempt, 9.9.
He averaged 9.3 in this game.
So it's not like, he's just dinking and dunking like he has in the past.
Yeah.
Let me see his air yards. Air yards are 8.2 yards per pass attempt, so that they're up from where they've been in.
AJ Green stepped back 15 years today.
Yeah, what the hell was that?
Had a pretty good game.
And Rondale Moore, who you blew your wad on.
It's all right.
And 1 catch.
He'll be fine.
No, he had 2 catches for 1 yard. That's what it was. But, yeah, I mean, he'll have better days. But, yeah, man, the Rams and the Cardinals next week in L.A. for first place in the NFC West. So that'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, but the Cardinals, to me, are who we thought they were. I mean, they're legit this year.
Yeah, they are.
They are. The defense is pretty good. It's good enough.
D-Hop went out and played, but I feel like he was more of a decoy than anything.
Yeah, I mean, he was obviously banged up. He was a game-time decision. He was, definitely
3
not.
3 for 21.
Yeah.
Not D-Hop-esque.
Nope. But he was still targeted 6 times, so take that for what you will. But, yeah, man, I think the Jags have to get it rolling, obviously. And if you're the Cardinals, man, this is a gigantic game. You want to put yourself in a position where Kyler Murray is a legit MVP candidate. Go in there and beat the Rams next week. I think they're plenty capable, but I think it's going to be very difficult.
Where's that game at?
In L.A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. Washington football team at the Buffalo Bills. They got blown to smithereens in this one. It was not pretty.
Yeah, not pretty at all.
I mean,
Josh Allen had a great game, I should say.
Great game. Yeah. 74.5% completion percentage.
He had a get-right game for sure.
Yes.
I mean,
358, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 0 sacks.
Rushing touchdown, too.
Yeah. So he had 5 touchdowns.
Yeah, he went nuts.
Yeah. So look, he threw 43 passes, 0 sacks against Washington. So that's awesome.
Zach Moss finally is.
Yeah, we saw Zach Moss.
I mean, sighting. My God, like, why healthy scratch on week 1? Like, what?
Maybe it was to get him all riled up or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's working.
Yeah. I mean, because he played really well.
He did.
Right? I mean, he had overall, 16 touches for 91 yards and a touchdown. All of a sudden, this is why I love overreaction, early season stuff. Dude, how many people do you think dropped Zach Moss after week 1?
Oh, my God. He's all over the waivers.
Healthy scratch. Drop him. We don't need him. His entirety of his 2021 season is gone. Like, he's going to be a non-fact. 2 weeks later, he's got 91 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, he's got 3 touchdowns those last 2 games.
Yeah, I can't wait to see Robert Woods has been dropped by 6,000 people in your, like it's going to happen, and Robert Woods is going to be a top 10 receiver for a stretch during this year. I didn't say he's going to finish top 10. He's going to be. He's going to have a 6 or 7 game stretch.
Him. I don't know if they're.
Well, people do dumb shit in fantasy football.
I mean, they do.
But yeah. So let's see where we at now. Okay, yeah. So Washington has got to start playing better defensively. They, Antonio Gibson had that 73-yard catch for a touchdown. That was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, man, they were just overwhelmed by a much better team, and I don't know what's going on. I have to look at the film for the Washington defense to figure out what's going on. But I have
on the road in Buffalo. It's a tough matchup.
Yeah,
right
but they shouldn't
in itself.
They shouldn't get blown out like that. From their defense is too good for that.
Yeah, but I mean, we're also talking about the preseason Super Bowl favorite. Not Super Bowl favorite, but Super Bowl likelies.
The Washington football team played last year's Super Bowl champs very tight in the playoffs.
Right.
They should not be allowing 350 plus yards by a quarterback and 5 touchdowns. They just shouldn't. I don't care who they're playing.
Yeah,
they're too good for that shit. So they've got to play better. I will say that as a Panther fan, I've seen Ron Rivera coached teams start slow in terms of like their sack production, and I've seen them also. That's why I keep saying at any point this team could unload 7 or 8, 9 sacks on a team, and I think it will happen sooner than later. But it's definitely, discouraging for them so far.
Yeah, I mean 1-2 to start the year.
Yeah,
they need, like you said, they need to start playing better on both sides of the ball. I mean, Heineke didn't do much at all.
He had a nice rushing touchdown.
Yeah, but I mean, but we know who Buffalo is. They're really fucking good on defense. I mean, they have a great defense.
They do. They're back to that form. No, Heineke played well. 8.8 yards per pass attempt. Only completed 58%. Did throw 2 picks. Let's see.
That's not efficient.
Yeah, I mean, but like you said, he played against a great defense.
Not going to get it done.
And he still did some good things. He did. But ultimately, again, overwhelmed by. I mean, Heineke had 3 touchdowns. He also had a rushing touchdown. So he wasn't awful. But the team effort for Washington, I'm not gonna say it was an effort issue, but what I mean is that they were just completely overwhelmed by a much better football team in Buffalo. Mm-hmm. So Buffalo is now 2-1, and they
Allen needed that get right game.
Yes, he did, and they are getting closer to an identity. I think that an identity that they should have, which is more balance on the offensive side of the ball, whether it be Moss or Singletary or a combination of both. Those guys need touches, and like I'm okay with Buffalo utilizing a short passing game as an extension of the running game, and also Josh Allen running is another piece of the running game, but they just can't drop back and throw every time.
Yeah.
So like I think that was better in this game, and I think Buffalo's on the right track. They play Houston next week, and then they go at Kansas City, at Tennessee, so I can't wait for those. I would hate to see Buffalo go into Houston and struggle, though. I think they need to do what good teams are supposed to do and dominate the Texans next week. So we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. But next game, Jets at Broncos. The Jets got completely shut out. I mean, literally. Didn't score a single point. Zach
Wilson looked fucking terrible again.
I don't recall.
I don't understand.
I don't recall like a recent season where we've seen all of the rookie quarterbacks just play like shit. Lance, of course, hasn't played yet, but Mac Jones isn't playing like shit.
But he gets in there and gets a touchdown.
Who?
Trey Lance.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Hey, QB1, it won't seem so crazy very soon, especially with all the new lessons that we're seeing in how valuable coaching is, right? If Daniel Jones was playing in San Francisco right now, he would be balling.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the coaching situation is holding him back. So we're going to see with Daniel Jones, if they keep Jason Garrett there and things don't get better, we're going to see him become the next Ryan Tannehill, the next, hopefully, Sam Darnold. We're going to see him go to a team and play really well, and then the Giants are going to be like, oh, he was good. That's where I'm hoping for Giants fans and my guy Dave Gettleman that doesn't happen, but that's where they're headed. So anyways, the Denver Broncos defense the Denver Broncos defense is allowing like 8.5 points per game. So
yeah, that's pretty damn good. I mean, Pat Surtain, 5 tackles. Yeah. Looked good.
Zach, again, failed to complete 60% of his passes.
Looked so bad, man.
Was sacked 5 times.
Looked so bad.
4.6 yards per pass attempt.
Looked so bad.
It was rough. Anytime
Michael Carter didn't look good. Ty Johnson had 3 for 17. One of them was 13 yards. So, I mean, their offense relies on their quarterback, and their quarterback is fucking terrible. So, expect not much out of the Jets this season.
I think they'll get better. Obviously, I don't know. They don't really have any room to get worse.
Yeah, they'll get better if they bench Zach Wilson.
No, they don't. That trust me, that'll be much worse because
I know. They're not going to do it. But man, he looks bad out there.
I got bad news for Jets fans though. Next week you got Tennessee, but there's a silver lining. You've got a get-right spot. It's on the road, which actually might be good because Jet fans are pretty much to the point now where they're just going to boo Zach Wilson. He's got a get-right spot in Week 5. He goes to Atlanta and plays the Falcons. Now, that defense hasn't been as bad as we may have thought they were before the season started, but I do think that's a get-right spot. And you better hope so because then
you would think, but
then he has a bye week, and then he goes at New England, which we just saw how that looks, and then Cincinnati, at Indianapolis, Buffalo, Miami.
Yeah, They might not win a game.
They very well could go winless. But I thought this team, I had higher hopes for them because when you look at what they've got at the skill positions.
Yeah, it looks good on paper, but, I mean.
Yeah.
Does it even look good on paper at this point? No.
I mean, nothing. With the way they've been playing, it doesn't look good in any way. But I just think that, I hope for Jets fans it gets better. I don't think Zach Wilson is a
complete
bust from a talent standpoint. I'm more prepared to call Lawrence a bust than I am Zach Wilson.
Okay, but let's not.
I'm not going to call either guy a bust after 3 games, but I just think that, obviously they need to play better. But, hey, on the bright side, the Denver Broncos are freaking good. And I'm happy for Denver fans because they are a great fan base. And Teddy Bridgewater, for the season, is completing 77% of his passes. 77. Listen, by game, his completion percentage have been 77.8, 76.5, and 76%.
Fucking Teddy Two Gloves.
He's been incredibly efficient.
He has.
4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 8.7 yards per pass attempt. So he's been really good. What I liked about their offense in this one was my guy Javonte Williams finally got in the end zone. He had a pretty good game. I thought it was going to be a better game, but he had a good game. He did lose a fumble in the
he averaged 2.4 yards a carry.
Yeah, but he still had his moments. He looked good. And like I mentioned, he's getting 15 touches a game right now. I expect that number to continue to rise. So if you're a Javonte Williams owner in fantasy, please hold. Anyway, so yeah, Denver
or Melvin Gordon looks good.
Yeah, he looks good. He's just not as good as Javonte Williams.
You don't think he's that dynamic playmaker that Javonte is?
We've got a big game. No, I don't. We've got a big game next week for the Broncos. They host the Baltimore Ravens. That's it. You want to test Denver, see who you really are, because so far you've played the winless Giants, the winless Jags, the winless Jets, right? So that's the knock on you. That's what probably people are saying about you. You've got the Baltimore Ravens who just beat the Chiefs and just came, won in dramatic fashion against the Detroit Lions. So this is a real test. I think the Broncos are going to be absolutely up for this game because I think it means a lot to them, and they want to say they're going to get tired of hearing that your opponents are winless, this, that, and the other. At the end of the day, the Broncos are doing what you're supposed to do to bad opponents. The Broncos defense is absolutely for real, and they can stop the run. So the Baltimore Ravens are we'll see. I'm excited for that one, man. I'm excited for that next week.
You know who's for real?
Who?
Derek Carr.
Yeah, I thought he reverted back
brings us to our next matchup.
Yeah, I thought he reverted back to Derek Carr for a moment there, if you know what I mean, in this game where he kind of, he had some struggles, and then all of a sudden he reverted back to MVP version Derek Carr.
386 yards, 26 for 43.
Jesus.
9 yards average, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, 3 sacks. I mean,
in 3 games, his
Peyton
yardage,
Barber had 23 carries.
I told you they want the Kenyon Drake role to say the same.
Yeah,
they're giving
23 for 111.
They're giving a guy 23 carries for 111 yards that probably wouldn't be on a football team right now if not for them signing him. So
yeah,
no
if
disrespect.
not for Josh Jacobs going down.
Yeah, no disrespect to Peyton Barber. I just think that he's probably not an elite player.
Right.
Anyways, Derek Carr's yardage low, or what am I trying to say? The lowest yards he's thrown for so far this season is 382.
Wow.
So the guy's doing his freaking thing.
He's tossing the rock all over the fucking place.
Yeah, man. He's doing what. Hey, and I told you guys last week.
And he distributed the ball around pretty damn well.
I said, look out for Henry Ruggs. He may have arrived. And I said, get Hunter Renfrow on your teams.
Mm-hmm.
Those 2 guys are the leading. They're going to be the leading receivers for the Vegas Raiders, in my opinion. You've also got Bryan Edwards there. I get it. He's coming along too. And when I say leading receivers, don't shoot me. I mean receivers, not Darren Waller's obviously the top guy in terms of a pass catcher on that offense. But I think that Ruggs and the game is slowing down for Ruggs. I feel like I can almost see it happening. I feel like I can legitimately see him. His confidence just looks so much higher. He's able to make plays on the football better because the game's moving slower, So from that standpoint, I'm pumped for Ruggs. I think that we can't forget just 1 year ago, this guy was a top 10 pick.
Right.
The first receiver off the board, taking over CeeDee Lamb, taking over, Jerry Jeudy and these other guys. So Derek Carr knows he has weapons now. Derek Carr obviously feels comfortable in terms of like his time to throw. I mean, he has been sacked 8 times, but I guess he just doesn't give a shit at this point, right? 8 times on 136
He's
attempts.
tossing the rocks. So he's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go out there and ball.
Yeah, I thought that was his problem before, was that he was kind of, after the injury, he was worried about getting hurt or whatever, and that's why he was kind of so willing to check down.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's getting sacked 1 every 17 throws, which is not a bad number at all. But it's
taken him a couple of years to
really get back to that. Yeah,
yes,
it's true. I hope for Raiders fans' sake that he continues to play at MVP level, because I like it, man. I like when the Raiders are good, and I think that it is it's a net positive for everyone.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, living in California, I became friends with a lot of 49er fans and Raider fans, so it's good to see them playing well.
I got good news for football fans in general. The Raiders next week play the Chargers. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Where's that one at?
It is
in Vegas.
I think it's in L.A.
Well, the other one's in L.A.
Oh, yeah. So it must be in Vegas. I went back to look. I'm looking at what Derek Carr did against the Chargers last year. And in the – okay, so he was injured in the second game. But in the first game, he was 13 of 23. So it's just a 56% completion percentage, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. So it wasn't like he dominated. But this is a new Derek Carr.
It is in L.A.
It is.
Mm-hmm. Monday night.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Wow, they're going to get the field ready like that?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. So I'm excited to see that one, man. It's going to be a good game, and it's a really good measuring stick for the Raiders. Another good division test for the Chargers. That's going to be a great game.
That's going to be a hell of a game. Monday night?
Yeah.
Damn.
Absolutely. If you're the Dolphins, by the way, if you're a Dolphin fan, I think this was a very promising game for you guys. You showed resilience. Mm-hmm. You showed the ability to make plays with your defense like we know you're capable of. And
yeah, man, they almost won that game.
Yeah, you also. It was overtime, right? You also showed why pass rush is much more important than coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you can pay two corners a combined $35 million or whatever it is. If you can't rush the passer, we see Derek Carr's going for 384 on you.
Yeah.
And coming back to win the game. So the Raiders seem to be for real. I'm still a little bit uncertain.
Yeah.
I think we're going to learn a whole lot about them next week against the Chargers.
Absolutely.
I feel like if I had to say, if you told me only one of these teams is for real, the Raiders or the Chargers, which one is it? I think I would pick the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think so because
it's a close one.
I just feel like I trust them a little bit more,
Yeah.
But anyways, so where are we at now, Lay?
Seahawks Vikings.
Oh, wow. The Minnesota Vikings. I'm pumped, man.
I'm
happy.
They came into this game saying we are not going 0-3.
Yeah.
We just can't. Without Dalvin Cook, they came ready to play and they won the game. And it was a good game for the Vikes.
It was a great game. Look, Kirk Cousins, people talk about him like he's mediocre. Let me just tell you what Kirk Cousins
Madison
did.
had 26 carries.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Finally, he was the handcuff we all hoped he would be.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk Cousins completed 30 of 38 passes. That's a 70.
Very efficient.
Basically a 79% completion percentage. 323 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. Sacked
one time.
Once. Wow. He averaged 8.5 yards per pass attempt. He was great.
Yeah,
right?
he was.
Again.
Justin Jefferson looked good.
Yeah.
Fantasy-wise, he went nuts.
Finally. This is finally the Justin Jefferson game. Oh, wow. Minnesota next week. They get to host Kevin Stefanski and the Cleveland Browns.
That'll be a good game.
That's gonna be a great game. It's a let's see how student versus teacher kind of thing goes there in Minnesota. By the way, the Vikings played 2 road games to start their season. I think now they held serve basically, right? They were able to. Seattle, a hungry Seattle team coming off a loss, came into Minnesota and they got beat. By what I believe, and I've said this before, before the season started, really, I think Minnesota's a pretty good team. I think they're, or I should say, an underrated team. And, look, they lost in week 1, they barely lost to the Cincinnati Bengals in dramatic fashion in Cincinnati. By the way, it seems like the Bengals are for real, at least from a team that's going to be 500.
They're a lot better than they were.
They're going to be 500. Well, I guess you can't finish 500 anymore. They're going to be, of that caliber, though, like a 500 or better team.
Yeah.
They're not going to be a below 500 team, in my opinion. And then they lost to the Cardinals, who look freaking amazing right now. And now they beat the Seahawks. So it's like, hey, that's a pretty strong strength of schedule. Ginormous test for you against Cleveland next week in Minnesota. And by the way, if they can eke out that game somehow, some way against the Browns, they play the Detroit Lions in Minnesota the following week. So they could be 3-2 here in 2 weeks, and we'd be sitting there like, wow, the Vikings are legit,
Are you worried about the Seahawks? 1-2 start the season?
Yes. For one big reason I'm worried about Seattle. I'm worried about them because their division is not going to slow down for them.
Yeah.
The worst team in their division other than them is the 2-1 49ers, right? Because then you got 3-0 and 3-0 with Arizona and LA. So it's a division that you just can't afford to drop games, and they dropped 2 very winnable games for them. And even how the games played out, they should have, you could make the case they should have won both. So me being the Tennessee game last week and now the Viking game. So
yeah,
definitely worried about Seattle in that regard. But from the standpoint of do I think they'll bounce back? Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll bounce back, but they're going to make the playoffs?
I don't know about that.
That's tough.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult unless all 4 teams in the NFC West make the playoffs, which is possible. But yeah. I think that when you look at the NFC South potentially being a 3-playoff team, at least possibly, right, being the Panthers, the Bucks, the Saints, the NFC is kind of loaded in that they have a lot of playoff caliber teams, teams that should finish with that kind of a record. So they can't afford to drop any more winnable games, I'll tell you that much. All right, let's talk about my guy, Tommy Brady, and my other guy, Matthew Stafford. By the way, these 2 guys were both available in fantasy drafts in round 7 or later. You could have got them in the 8th round or whatever. And, well, I think they're both returning pretty good value on that. Matthew Stafford, I just tweeted this out, has last year in Detroit had 3 games total where he averaged 9.0 yards per pass attempt or higher. He's already got 3 this year, and they've only played 3 games. So he's doing his thing.
He's playing at an MVP level.
He's averaging 314 yards a game. He's got 9 touchdowns to 1 pick. He's been sacked 3 times. I mean, he's checking every box. And as I mentioned in my post earlier, could you at least give me that it's possible that he's only going to get better considering these are his first games in LA?
Yeah.
This may not be the best Matthew Stafford, that we've seen. So in terms of in 2021. So yeah, man, MVP caliber play. The Rams defense did enough in moments. They were able to get some stops. Brady, I mean, he was still Brady, but it just
432 yards.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It wasn't.
They
enough.
ran the ball 13 times.
Yeah,
that is unacceptable.
It is. And
13 times. They gave Leonard Fournette 4 carries and Ronald Jones 5. And they both averaged 2 yards a carry. Tom Brady averaged more yards a carry than they did.
Well, Brady's got some wheels now in his old age.
I know.
He averaged almost 5 yards
ridiculous.
a carry.
We did say that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would have a blow-up game with AB out, or could, and they did. I mean, very efficient, both of them. 106, 6 for 74.
Well, yeah. I mean, Brady threw the ball 55 times.
Yeah.
He's already had 2 games with 50-plus pass attempts in 2021.
Gio, had 10 targets, 9 receptions for 51 yards.
I really like what they've done in Tampa regarding, in terms of their offense. It's like the Brady offense combined with the Arians offense.
Yeah.
They've got the shot plays, the deep, the push it down the field kind of plays, and they've also got the Gio getting 10 targets.
Yeah.
And
how about Desean Jackson?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Where the fuck did he come from?
Well, he came from
2009.
Yeah, yeah. He basically came
back to
from
the future.
2009.
I mean, holy shit!
And he went completely crazy. Before that,
he had 3 receptions, but they were for 120 yards. I mean,
dude, he only played 32% of the snaps.
He averaged 40 yards a catch.
Yeah, it was a situational role.
It was incredible.
Dude, this guy had only
Cooper
played.
Kupp is just a freak of nature in fantasy.
He's dominating right now.
Dominating.
Bro,
he has to be the number 1 receiver.
Right now, probably so.
Him or Devante Adams, but
no, it's are you talking about rest of the season or just who is
right now?
Oh, it's probably Cooper Kupp right now.
Yeah,
or he's at, top 2 or 3. But Desean Jackson played only 3 snaps last week, so he comes you couldn't have had him in your game plan. This is why McVay is brilliant, right? They weren't thinking about Desean Jackson. They were worried about Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp and maybe a little Van Jefferson. Well, they had a very specific plan for Desean Jackson, and it worked like a charm. Desean has always been wherever he goes because he's so fast and he's such a talented player. He's always been you got to account for Desean Jackson.
right.
This may have been the only situation he's ever been in where it's they're probably not going to throw to Desean Jackson. We haven't seen much tape of him. We haven't seen them trying to get him involved. And then all of a sudden it was boom, boom, boom. Big play after big play.
Cooper Kupp has 25 receptions for 367 yards and 5 touchdowns.
In 3 games.
He's dominating.
He is. He's playing outrageously.
Mike Williams is the number 2 overall receiver right now. 22 receptions for 295 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's got at least 1 in every game. Touchdown, that is.
That's wild.
Mm-hmm. So,
but yeah, that was a great game for the Rams. I mean, they played a hell of a game. They at home, fired up with Tom Brady in the building.
Yeah, they did enough defensively.
I expected the Bucs to win that game. But,
I did too.
The Rams played a hell of a game.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about the Sunday night game. And by the way,
such a great game.
Yeah, one last thing on that. The Bucs losing that game is just almost bad for the Patriots because, like you said, they're going to come in there. Brady didn't need any extra motivation to go into Foxborough. But they're going to come in there.
Coming off a loss,
pissed off, angry. His teammates love him, so they're going to come in there wanting to win for Brady.
Right.
It's going to be a long day for him.
It's going to be a fun game.
Yeah. And so, all right, yeah, so Aaron Rodgers and the Pack go into San Francisco and get the win. I picked the Niners to win that game, full disclosure. They didn't, but they were right there. Jimmy Garoppolo took them down the field, got the game-winning, or could have been game-winning touchdown there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Aaron Rodgers went out there and did what he doesn't always do, by the way.
I don't know why. They should have – I mean, it's tough in that situation to not score there, but, like, man. They just needed one more play.
I don't blame them.
I know. You just want to score because then again, if you don't score there, they could stop you.
Think about this.
4 times in a row.
The New England Patriots lost a game in Week 2 on Sunday Night Football where they had the ball on the 1-yard line and Cam Newton got stuffed.
Yeah.
Like, that shit happens. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I mean,
you just got to.
It's tough not to score there.
You got to score there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you got to score there. And he did. And they
paid for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, fuck. Aaron Rodgers. I almost didn't want Aaron to go down there and do that because I really wanted the 49ers to win that game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he just kind of showed who the fuck he is. Devante Adams, 12 for 132, 11 yards average, 1 touchdown, 18 targets. I mean, 18 targets, and the second most targets was 4.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they're so fucking dialed in together.
The Niners dictated a lot of that with the way they were. Like, they basically were just pretending like Devante Adams was just any other guy. Like, they were not really accounting for him in any way with their coverage. It was weird.
Didn't make any sense.
Yeah. And, I mean, they paid for it with their lives.
Yeah, it was
it was bad.
It was bad. I mean, him and Aaron are just on all cylinders, just playing lights out right now.
That team is...
And like Aaron Rodgers said, like, Week 1 was an anomaly. I mean...
Oh, absolutely.
Just...
If they played the Saints right now, they'd score 30 points.
Yeah.
Like, that's never happening again.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers said at the end of the game, how can you not be emotional about this game? I mean, or romantic about this game? Like, he is so in love with this game. It's stupid. And he just wants to win at all costs.
Yeah.
And he did. He went out there and did it.
He actually, if you remember, I believe at some point, I wish I would have had this in my prep. At some point in the game, he was like 21 of 23 or something like that. And he finished 23 of 33. So he really cooled down significantly. And then on the last drive, greatness just took over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the big pass play to Adams and then whatever else.
I mean, all they needed was 2 plays.
And he delivered those 2 plays. So
yeah.
That was...
He didn't look at anybody else but Adams on those 2 plays either.
Yeah, and there's no reason...
But Jimmy G played a good game. I mean, like you said, went down there and scored what we thought was the game-winning touchdown. And, I mean, it's just unfortunate.
He did his part. But I will say, a big part of the reason they were even in a hole to begin with was because, in large part, of his play. He didn't play well early.
Yeah, that's true.
It was... If I'm a Niners fan, it was frustrating. I was rooting for the Niners. It was frustrating to watch him just...
Well, he's not. He's just not a, like, freaking super dynamic player. So it's, like, can get pretty boring watching him because...
Right.
When he's playing bad, it's just, like, fuck. Like, where is Trey at?
Right. Speaking of Trey Sermon got in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
Had some moments where he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that if
Kittle had a get-right game.
Yeah. Man, I thought he was going to score on that one where he...
So did I.
I was like, holy shit, is he going to fucking take this to the house?
He was like, I'm fucking scoring this shit.
Yeah.
Look, I mean, unfortunately for him, he got tackled, but he looked good.
And
finally.
what did A.J. Dillon do? I'm curious here.
He had 6 for 18.
6 for 18, yeah. Played. So he's been right at 28 and 29% in each game of the snaps.
Yeah.
So, looks like it'll be the Aaron Jones show. I promise you, though, if someone drops A.J. Dillon in your league, pick him up.
Absolutely.
Because he needs to be owned, and I really believe that
he's an RB1 if Aaron Jones
absolutely he
goes
is
down.
And I just believe that when the weather gets colder, Aaron Jones has never been a guy that's going to be 20-plus touches a game. He's been more of the Nick Chubb, like super efficient, Alvin Kamara, super efficient role, right? 3 receiving touchdowns the previous week. Like he's a guy that scores a very high touchdown percentage on on a per touch basis. I think that when the cold weather gets there, this 250-pound running back named A.J. Dillon is going to be a whole lot more involved.
Yeah, maybe a flex play later on the fantasy season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like we said, if anything happens to Aaron Jones, who will, miss a game or two on occasion,
maybe
A.J. Dillon is an RB1 or at least a high-end RB2.
Yeah.
So I think that.
Yeah, tough loss for the Niners, but
they'll be okay.
Yeah.
They're a good team, and the defense will have better days, but they are really playing with not much, right, on in the secondary. Like they don't have much there, right?
Yeah.
Josh Norman was playing pretty well actually, and now he's hurt and maybe might miss some time with like bruised lungs and like some internal bleeding. So it sounded pretty bad. But yeah, I think overall Trey Sermon got 59% of the snaps. My guy is coming on strong. I love that guy in that offense, and he's the most talented player they have. So I think he'll be the guy there
outside of Trey
forward.
Lance.
Oh yeah, no, I meant at running back. Right. But yeah. All right, let's finish it up with the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, we got one more. We didn't go over your boys on Thursday night.
Oh, that's right. Okay,
but we can talk about the Cowboys and how they just completely dominated tonight.
Okay. So yeah, man, Dallas to me looks
legit.
Yeah,
they look good.
The defense looks really good. Dan Quinn, I tweeted this out a little while ago. He was a head coach that went to the Super Bowl. He was a good head coach.
Yeah,
in my opinion, he's an elite defensive coordinator. Like the dramatic change from last year to this year.
He can just focus on the defense and have to deal with all the other bullshit in between.
Right.
I mean, he's dialed in. He can dial into one thing. I mean, he's clearly shown in the past how good of a defensive coordinator he is. And the fact that he's not a head coach anymore and he doesn't have to deal with all the hoopla that goes around it.
Right.
I mean, and he can just focus on the defense. They look good. Trayvon Diggs is an absolute animal.
Yes. So there's 3 things. Dan Quinn, three things that in my opinion have contributed to this quick turnaround for the Dallas defense. Dan Quinn, certainly one of those 3 things. Trayvon Diggs, absolutely one of those 3 things. And then Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Micah Parsons has been a real impact player for them. He has made that defense so much better. And
he's good.
Yeah, he's a very talented player.
Just those 2 players alone make our defense so much better.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's true.
They're just 2 impactful players, and it's starting to show. I mean,
dude, Trayvon Diggs leads the NFL in takeaways, I think it is, or interceptions or whatever.
He's playing out of his fucking mind, which I love.
Entering this game, he had allowed 6 completions on 12 targets. So that means he had 2 picks, right? So that's an interception every 6 targets. Mm-hmm. And he was allowing a quarterback rating of 35.8. So he was not messing around. And a lot of times
Dalton Schultz went nuts.
Yeah, he did. A lot of times, and we should probably pick that guy up because that might happen some more, at least some times. He's a good best ball play, I would bet, Dalton Schultz. But Trayvon Diggs is like a 6'2", 33-inch arm corner, 200-plus pounds, that lacks top-end speed. That's what everyone said in their scouting reports on him, and that's true. But and I always talk about compensating factors. How can you compensate for that? You can compensate for that with very good instincts, which he has, good change of direction for a guy his size, which he has, and ball skills. He has legit, but those 33-inch arms are not just there for looks. Yeah. They make plays on the football. Like something that might just be an incompletion with him, it might just be an interception return for a touchdown. You know what I mean? Like he's that type of dude, and I think that we need to be a little bit more open-minded to those types of players, at cornerback in our pre-draft evaluations, because when you have that kind of instincts for the position, I talked about this in a podcast during draft season. Instincts at the cornerback position are so important, and that guy absolutely has them. So
yeah, he does.
Man, Dallas
I'm
defense
excited
looks
about
good.
him.
The Dallas offense looks almost unstoppable at times. Like, it looks really freaking good. And now when you
Super
put it all into
balanced.
context, right? Think about this. Week 1, they were beating the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay until Brady went down and braided them, right? So they lose that game. Okay. They go into L.A., beat up on the Chargers. I mean, they outplayed the Chargers in that game.
It makes the Chargers beating the Chiefs make that win that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now they come in, and people were optimistic on Philly.
Yeah.
People were looking at Philly like, hey, they went in there, beat up on the Falcons in week 1 in Atlanta. Hurts looks good, this, that, and the other. They smoked them.
Miles Sanders had 2 carries.
Is that all?
That's it.
Wait, you're serious?
I'm serious. He had 2 carries for 27 yards, and one of them went for 24
He didn't
yards.
carry the ball in the second half, not once, because that was his stat line after the first half.
Did he get hurt?
No. Sirianni, and I started to tweet this out. Let me read
Gainwell had 1 carry.
I saved it in my draft. Yeah, they just didn't run the ball. I saved it in my draft because I
12
was driving. But here's what I started to tweet earlier. Sirianni hasn't put Jalen Hurts in a position to succeed so far tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm not sure what the idea was entering this game, but balance is crucial for everyone, but particularly for Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Like, this offense needs balance. Jalen Hurts needs a balanced offense. And then I just said this game's far from over. They still need to run the ball. But, like, I stand by that.
They got walloped.
That was when they were down 27-7, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you got, like, 13 minutes to go in the third quarter and you're down 3 touchdowns, that's absolutely plenty of time to run the football.
Yeah.
Then they went down and scored, and then, like, keep running the ball.
12 carries the entire game from the whole team.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous.
Not going to get it done.
No. And what are you trying to do with Jalen Hurts at that point? Like,
He had 9. I mean,
yeah, and they were probably in large part off of scrambles.
yeah.
Right? Because that Dallas defense is pretty fucking good. So they're not a defense that has no pass rush anymore. They actually can kind of get after you a little bit. So I'm looking for their stat lines here. So what was Hurts? What was he throwing the ball?
25 for 39, 326 yards, and 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and 2 sacks.
So he handed the ball to a running back 3 times, and he threw 39 passes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all you need to know. And again, it was a 2-possession game in the third quarter. It was not like way out of reach or anything like that. I just, even if it was, you have to run the ball more. Dak Prescott, on the other hand, 21 of 26 for 238, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. He had that one play in the first half where he rolled out to his left from his own end zone and threw an absolute dime to what's the kid, Wilson. And the kid only got 1 foot down, or it would have been an unbelievable catch. But that throw was unreal.
Yeah, he's
Dak
good.
Prescott, man. How about this? Zeke, 17 for 95 and 2 touchdowns.
He had
Averaged
a great
5.6
game.
yards a carry.
Great
You know who averaged 5.5 yards a carry? Oh,
Tony
my guy,
Pollard.
Tony Pollard. 11 carries for 60 yards. So, and then also...
That's a balance attack on rushing and receiving.
Absolutely. And you know what else is balanced? Dalton Schultz had 6 for 80 and 2 touchdowns, right? But then it was their leading receivers after that, CeeDee Lamb with 3 catches, Amari Cooper with 3 catches, Zeke with 3 catches, Cedric Wilson for 2 catches, Blake Jarwin with 2, and then 1 for Noah Brown, 1 for Tony Pollard. So it was a very balanced in many ways.
They dominated on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
All night.
And I think
Great
I heard
win for the Cowboys.
Eli Manning say this, like, the Dallas defensive line is more of a small, quick defensive line. So the last thing you want to do is let them off the hook without running the ball. So another reason why Philly not running it just made absolutely no sense. But anyways, great win for Dallas.
Excellent win.
To me now, with what we know after 3 games, they look like a very legit team. You know what I mean? Like a team that's definitely going to be in the mix for for a playoff berth.
Yep.
If they're probably the favorites for that division at this point, I would say.
But it's it's a long season, but they look good.
Yeah. So let's finish up with my Panthers, right?
Yeah.
We are officially here with the whatever this thing's called.
A helmet?
Yeah. Well, I know it's a helmet. But anyways, the Panthers, Sam Darnold, another 300-yard passing game, no interceptions. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'll work. He had 2 rushing touchdowns as well.
Yeah, they looked really good.
Chuba Hubbard, 11 for 52, and then Royce Freeman at 5 for 17. That was cool.
Yeah. So if you're a C-Mac owner, you better hope you fucking got your handcuff because he is going to be the hottest waiver ad this week.
Chuba?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm not touching him. Let me tell you why. I think it's very likely that Royce Freeman and Chuba are a full-blown committee.
I mean, Chuba got 11, Royce got 5.
Yeah, but that was also because
in the moment. I mean, but if
they're going to roll with the hot hand.
If you're picking waivers up, you're taking Chuba over Royce Freeman.
If I'm getting Royce for free and Chuba for half my wad, I'm taking Royce for free.
No.
Absolutely.
I don't think Royce Freeman's trash.
He's not, though. He's
yes, he is.
Here's the other thing.
It's Royce Freeman.
But okay,
we know who he is.
What percentage of FOB would you spend on Chuba?
I mean, if I'm a C-Mac owner, probably $20.
Wow. Oh, if you're a C-Mac owner. Here's the thing. They're not even, as of now, they said they're not putting McCaffrey on IR, short-term IR, which means they think he's going to be back in less than 3 weeks.
But if a team's 0-3 and they just lost C-Mac, like I am in Eric's league, I have Chuba. But if I didn't have Chuba, you need to win the next 3 games. Otherwise, you're out of the fantasy playoffs.
Right.
So, and he's going to get the bulk of the carries. Royce Freeman ain't going to do shit.
That's possible and maybe even likely, but we don't know that.
You're right. You're hoping for Chuba to get 20 carries a game, but
it ain't happening.
Yeah, but they don't. You act like Royce Freeman's is some electric, dynamic player.
No, I don't. I act like he's a solid backup running back, and I act like Chuba's a 4th-round rookie. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of it. Like,
but Chuba had a great.
It's a high-risk move.
Chuba had a great career in college, so
yeah. And Matt Rule said the word dominant, which really sticks out in my head about when he described him.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, that one, just go with your instincts on that. I would say, yeah, I want Chuba, but I'm not willing to blow my wad on him. We'll do a whole nother thing on waivers, though. But DJ Moore, 8 for 126, just an absolute stud.
Yeah, he's another fantasy stud.
Yeah.
He's going late.
He's looking A-okay. Yeah, he was going like 6th round, 7th round sometimes. Robbie Anderson had 1 catch for 8 yards, so that's a little strange. But, look, this is the same thing that's going on with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp right now. Is it that is this going to sustain for DJ Moore and Robbie's just going to have like a 20-catch season? No, of course not. Like, it's going to balance out a little bit. I'm not saying DJ Moore is going to fall off a cliff, and I'm not, but I don't think we're going to see – I think we're going to see far fewer 1 catch for 8-yard games for Robbie, than people might think. Like I think he's going to be more of what he was last year. He'll be closer to that, in my opinion. But the Panther defense absolutely dominant again. Yeah. I actually thought Davis Mills, the 3rd-round pick quarterback from Stanford, played pretty well. Yeah. I thought he actually reminded me of Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit in some ways, or like Tony Romo-esque. But no one can run the ball against the Panthers, apparently. So that's definitely good news. Mm-hmm. And by the way, today, just a few hours ago, they traded for C.J. Henderson.
Saw that.
That was my number 1 corner last year.
I didn't realize that J.C. Horn broke his foot.
Yeah.
Tough.
But now, J.C. Horn will be back, this year or next year, maybe late this year or next. But they have J.C. Horn, who's my number 1 cornerback this year, along with C.J. Henderson, who was my number 1 cornerback last year. It never works out where my team gets my top guys, but that's how it's worked out in this scenario. And it's almost they gave away so they got a 5th-round pick and C.J. Henderson in exchange for a 3rd-round pick and Dan Arnold.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Rule came out and said that what's his name, Tommy Tremmel, is this year's Jeremy Chin. So that's a tight end. The guy who we actually used him on a little, gave him a handoff, and he ran for a touchdown against the Texans. So that's cool. Maybe that means we should pick up Tremmel, because when we look at, it's not like Terrace Marshall and Robbie Anderson have been lighting it up. So he may be worth a grab, considering Dan Arnold was targeted 4 times, caught 2 for 23, and he's no longer on our team.
Mm-hmm.
So Terrace Marshall had 5 targets, caught 4 for 48. So that's
Brandon Cooks has been surprisingly really good in fantasy.
It shouldn't even be surprising anymore. The dude's a stud.
Yeah,
the dude is a legit stud, man. Brandon Cooks. Let me just pull this up real quick, because he's absolutely been a model of consistency in his career. I was banging the drum for him last year pre-draft. I said he was going to be the best value in fantasy football. He fell a little short of that, especially because he started off slow and everybody went nuts and was like, dude, fuck you. You got it wrong on Brandon Cooks. But last year, he finished with 1,150 yards. Okay. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's at 5. So not counting this year, because it's obviously just 3 games in. In 5 of his 6 seasons, he had over 1,000 yards. Over 1,000 yards receiving.
That is what you call production.
Yeah, just an absolute model of consistency. He's he's just a short guy, extremely quick, fast, can run routes. He's a legit player, man. And right now you're seeing him as a number 1 receiver.
Yep,
Calvin Ridley.
But with
a number 1 receiver.
I mean, coming into the season though, with Deshaun Watson not playing, I overlooked him, to be honest. But I mean, like you said,
I'm with you.
True model of consistency. 9 receptions for 112 yards, 12.4 yard average, 11 targets,
and that's against a fucking damn good secondary.
Yeah,
Devante Jackson.
The Panthers are here, 3-0. They look good,
and
one of the top teams in the NFC.
By the way, how about this for an NFC showdown next week right here in Dallas?
Yep.
Carolina Panthers at the Dallas Cowboys. That is going to be a very good measuring stick for both teams, because Dallas is now 2-1. The Panthers are 3-0. This looks like these two teams are going to be legitimately battling out in the playoff. I mean, this could be a preview of the NFC Championship game for all we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we'll see. I think that both, if I had to bet right now, I say Dallas wins the NFC East. I say Carolina gets in as a wild card. So it may be a preview, better yet, of the first round matchup. So that'll be fun. Can't wait to see this Panthers offense against what is a much improved Dallas defense, and also vice versa.
That'll be a great game.
Dak Prescott's been balling out of his fucking mind against this Panthers defense that's been red freaking hot. And oh, by the way, no one has cracked 50 yards rushing against the Panthers. So how is that going to bode for Zeke and Tony Pollard, one of the better duos now at running back in the whole NFL? So that'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Well, we'll wrap it up here. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, like and subscribe. I might do a little giveaway where I give away I have a Jeremy Chin rookie and a Justin Jefferson rookie. You know what? Fuck it. Let's do it. I'm going to give at least one of those out to anybody who comments. Just leave any comment you want. Say whatever you got to say or whatever. And there's probably not going to be that many comments, so your chances of winning are probably pretty high. So leave a comment, and I'll contact you. And just send me a screenshot in an Instagram DM, and I'll throw you one of these rookie cards. So,
all right, we'll catch you in the next one.
All right, guys, peace.